Okay, hello all you crazy people out there. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. Welcome back to making a tower defense game in Game Maker. So today I'm going to be doing everyone's favorite thing ever, and that is going to be spending some time stomping out bugs that have appeared in this game over the course of the last number of videos. And by stomping out bugs, I of course mean fixing errors in the code and not actually stomping out bugs, which is the actual game loop of this game, because this is a tower defense game about killing bugs. I'm never going to get tired of that stupid joke. So let's start with this, the project board that I've got on this GitHub repository. I realize in hindsight I probably should be using issues for this, but this project board started out as just a couple notes to myself, and then quickly spiraled into basically an issue tracker. And I really should just use the issues feature on GitHub for this. Anyway, let's start with the more important ones. I'm going to try to get through as many of these in this video as possible. I don't want to make yet another hour-long video because I know that when I do that, a lot of people don't watch it because an hour is a long time to spend looking at code and fixing bugs. But this is important, and I don't want to draw this out for too many more weeks. So let me try and get through this. So off narration. At the end of the last video, I did a little speed up thing featuring working out the collision information for all of the other 9 maps that were more or less finished being designed in this game. And that of course means that you can go to, for example, the graveyard, and you can place down towers in various places wherever you think it would be helpful to do so. There's a couple of problems with the system right now, though. One of them is that for whatever reason, and I have not yet tracked down why this is happening, but for whatever reason, every time you save a map, it deletes the last path node in the tower defense path, and I would like to fix that because I would not like the tower to keep the path to keep getting shorter and shorter every time I save a map, every time I do some work on a map. So let's try and figure out what that is. That's going to be this card here. This should be a fairly easy fix. Let me just go into VKF1 is going to be save map. Okay, so this is the function that's called in save map. Where is the list of path nodes? You know what? I have a feeling I know what this is caused by, and that is because if you delete a path node, instead of actually deleting it, I did something weird involving setting it to undefined and then like ignoring it on the next time that you save, which probably did not help. So if I can find... Okay, so this is what happens. This is the code that runs when you delete a path node. So if you hit the delete key, if there's a selected entity in path editor mode, then you loop over the path nodes. If path node equals selected entity, then you try and shift everything else down. That's fine. There's also the array delete function, which I probably should be using instead, because that would probably just be simpler. Array delete path nodes. The index is going to be, I believe, J. I should be able to... I don't know why I didn't do this before. I'm pretty sure array delete was not like recently added to Game Maker. I'm pretty sure this was around when I was implementing this. I don't know why I didn't do it. But that should, if I were to delete a path node, that should prevent any weirdness involving the last nodes in the list being undefined. Now, if I were to go back to save map, I should be able to do so without doing this weirdo system involving iterating backwards over the path node array. What is node count? Node count is just essentially the length of the path nodes, and that's... Yeah, I see why this isn't working. So it's starting at array length -1, and then when we actually save everything, we're going to I equals 0, I is less than node count. So we're saving all but the last path nodes. That's about what I expected. Instead, node count is going to equal array length. Actually, you know what I can do? Because there isn't like a serialization method here, I can just say save json.nodes is going to equal path nodes. And I don't have to deal with any of this nonsense. And this should allow me to run the game, and this should allow me to save the last path node, to save any path nodes really, not just the last one, without going through the whole song and dance of deleting the last one in the list. So if I were to go F2 into path editing mode, this is a semi-incomplete path. I can click U down. No, let me... Okay, so there's a bug somewhere. What did I recently change? Something tells me that why am I, caps lock is on. Why am I deleting path nodes at array index j? Because j does not exist anymore. Should be array index I. And then there's a break statement, so we don't go any farther than that. Should probably... Selected entity is going to be set equal to undefined. That way the path node data doesn't keep existing after it's been deleted just because it's still assigned to the selected entity value, because the garbage collector in GameMaker will not delete anything until all references to it are gone. Okay. Now let's try this. If I go to the woods... one, I should be able... See, that's still a little misaligned. One, I should be able to delete things fine without bad things happening. Like that. Okay, including from the middle of the path. And let me just take 5 minutes and delete the rest of... resave, rather, the rest of the nodes in this path. And I'll make the last one slightly inside the endpoint rocks so that the player doesn't feel like the enemies are disappearing while they're still on the track. Okay, should be good. Should be good. I don't see any reason why this should not be good. I'm going to save this. I'm going to restart the game, and assuming the last path node is still inside the rocks at the end, I'm just going to cut away until I finish fixing the rest of the maps in this game. Okay. F2. Good. Okay, the last path node is still inside the rocks. I can move this bug to closed. I am going to actually delete the commented out code here, just because it's taking up space that I don't need it to take up, and it's going to make this a little bit more convoluted to read for myself in the future. And I will see you in a moment. And the last level, level 12, the castle, as I've called it, is 1, mostly empty, and 2, does not have any path nodes on it to speak of yet, because I do need to spend a little bit more time designing this one for real. That can be something that happens another day, though. Okay. So I think I am satisfied. If I were to just, like, start level 5 or something and let it play, we should be able to see everything following the path the way it should, except it won't, because I need to actually restart the game before that'll take effect, because the updated map files are saved to the game project and not in the game's actual running directory. Let me do that again. The flower fields, we have all the path nodes going to the end of the track where they should be, and let me just send some ants in. The ants go marching one by one. I cannot remember the rest of the words to that song because I haven't heard it since I was about 6 years old. Okay. Oh, I can't wait to replace these things with, like, real models of ants or something like that. Alright, but they're going there. I am losing lives as they leak through to the end of the map. That's fine. Okay. That took a few minutes. I can work on something else. Something else I've written down is we can spoof multiple collision masks in collision painting mode. Before, with the old system, I did have, like, for example, if I were to load the Pirate Cove, I did have a, F7? I did have a special, like, marker in the collision zones denoting where the actual path was, and that was, among other things, it informed things like the Poison Tower and the Flypaper Tower where they were allowed to dispense their payloads. And I no longer have that. I'm going to have to re-add something similar. If I were to plop down... I have to leave collision painting mode if I want to actually not have a top-down view. If I were to plop down something like a bug spur tower, we would see that I can place it, but it won't be doing anything, because it does not know where the path is. I forgot about that in the last video. I'm going to have to deal with that eventually. I'm not going to deal with that now. I just want to explain exactly what this is. Once the bugs have proper 3D models, you can remove the texture coordinate from the vertex format to save a few bytes per vertex. That's something I'd like to do for slimming down the game, like the game distributable size. Everything except for the actual insects themselves are colored in the game using vertex color instead of textures. And if I were to just not bother with texture lookups in any of the for any of the 3D models being rendered in the world, one, that will improve performance slightly, particularly on platforms such as the Raspberry Pi, and two, it will it'll cut down, I want to say 8 bytes per vertex for every vertex in the game, which should save a little bit of space. I want to say about maybe 15% of the amount of space things like the level files and whatnot take up. But that'll be a story for another day because I do need to actually replace the 3D models first. A setting for particle density. Okay, that's not a bug, but I do want to do it all the same. All right, I'll get back to that probably at the end of the video. Magnifying glass hiss effect keeps playing for a bit if the glass is active when you game over. Okay, let me demonstrate what I mean by that. So I'm going to play a little bit of the game. I'm going to lose on purpose, and I will be quiet and raise the volume of the game so that you can hear what I'm talking about. Okay, can you hear it? It's quiet, but magnifying glass hiss is still playing, even though I'm game overed because it was set to play on loop when the magnifying glass started attacking, and it was never told to stop when it game overed. To remedy this, because I can foresee this happening with other objects as well, I could just stop all sounds. I suppose I could stop all sounds. That might be a more efficient solution. But I'm going to, and I think I actually wrote it down here, I'm going to add a... It looks like I did not. I'm going to add a game over method to each of the... Why is this high priority, by the way? This is like a low priority item. This is a minor annoyance. I'm just going to add a game over event to all of the entities. And the magnifying glass is going to take it, and it's going to stop playing its sound. If I were to go into the entity superclass, we've got some pseudo events. We've got render, add to map, add collision save, destroy, that sort of thing. I can say on game over. Actually, I just call it game over equals function. This will have an implementation if when I game over, if you go into check game over, and that is here. We can iterate over all entities in the game. What is that going to be? That is just going to be... That's just literally a list called all entities, right? I'm 90% sure that's what it is. For... Is it a DS list, though? It is a DS list. Okay. For I equals 0, I is less than DS list size. Self.all entities, I is less than n, I plus plus. We can simply iterate over all of the entities in the game. And call the game over method. And for example, the tower, I can say, I can override that in the magnifying glass. I can say game over is going to be equal to a function. If we just want to see that this code is actually running, we can just show a message, this is magnifying glass game over event, and once I'm satisfied that that code is actually running, I will just stop the sound effect. Okay, let me pop down one of you. Actually, let's pop down 2 just for good measure, just because I can. And let's oh, I don't have enough money. Let's lose the game in a hurry on purpose. In speed up mode. And we do not have it running. Okay, why is that? Should it be in all towers and not all entities? Why is the game out to get me? Okay, so you know how bad at programming I am? There are 2 places in the game where the game over is triggered, and one of them is called game over win, and one of them is called game over lose, and I was editing the one that was called game over win. So when I was losing the game on purpose, nothing was happening. So there are, this is when you lose all your lives, when you check for the game over, when you're losing all your lives. This down here, which I was actually editing, is for when you game over because you win and because there are no more enemies, and that was fine. I just need to include this this game over event loop for all the entities in the game at the in both of them, really. This could be its own method, but it's only like a single for loop, so who really cares? Also, I was, instead of using the DS list accessor, I was just using the array accessor, and as you can imagine, that did not work super well with the DS list. because trying to index a variable that is not an array and all that. So now, if I were to lose the game on purpose, we would have in the entity tower glass, if I were to build one of these, we would have, let me just launch everything at once, we would have the game informing me that the tower has registered a game over event, and I can just stop playing the sound effect there. Alright, there we go. Magnifying glass game over event. Let me get rid of that, and let me go, and instead of showing a message, let me just, where is the audio function? Audio sound, audio stop sound. Not there, there. And this should prevent the magnifying glass hiss from playing when the game is over. Both when you lose and when you win. I will not be testing if you win. I will assume that since it is the exact same count running in either case, that it's going to work in both cases. So, let's try this. In about 10 seconds I'll be losing. And no, okay. This is, and I still hear it playing even though I'm on the title screen. This is SC Tower Magnifying Glass, audio stop sound. It works when nothing is in range. Yeah, that's the function. Unless I want to stop all, which again also is an option, but that would also sound the background audio, stop the background audio, so I don't want to. This can be either a single instance of a sound. The index for individual sounds played can be stored as a variable when using the audio play sound function, sure. Or a sound asset, in which case all instances of the given sound will be stopped. Okay. I'm going to assume that function works the way it's supposed to, but it's possible that there are still foes that this update loop is still running, and it should not be. And therefore the sound is just getting started immediately again. That would be a bit of a problem. Where is the game's update? Where is the game's update loop? I can collapse a bunch of these functions. I wish they stayed collapsed between, like, after you close GameMaker and when you open it again. And also just, like, in general. Not it. Title mode. Checking for pause. Gameplay stuff. Spawning towers. It looks like... Where are the updates being called? That's the wave update, and this is the all entities update. So, I'm not actually checking to see if the game is over before I stop. Really anything. I'll just say if player health is greater than 0. That would be... This is just checking to see if you are still alive and should be able to actually play the game as you are intending. That could be several issues fixed at once, possibly. This is the sort of thing that could lead to other issues down the line very easily as well. Okay, good. So when I made that change, you can hear it now. The magnifying glass has stopped doing its thing. All the entities have stopped updating, and we no longer hear the audio. So that's fine. I wonder if I had lost and then like killed the last enemy on the screen, would that have tried to trigger the win condition and the lose condition at the same time? I don't know. That would have been bad if that was the case. Anyway. I have not been git committing anything so far in this video, have I? Okay, I'm gonna commit this in pieces because I have not been git committing anything. First, all of the level files, this is going to be the matter of fixing the issues with... Apparently I did not actually commit some of the level painting data as well, but this is going to be fixing the issues with and checking for game over on entities. Okay, so I can move this over to the closed list. All right. When you restart a level, and this one was pointed out to me by someone in the comments, and also I think I noticed several places where it was occurring as well. When you restart a level, temporary objects such as flypaper, poison, birds, etc. will still be there. I believe that also happens when you go back to the title screen. And I believe I can also run the game over code and give each of these types of entities a destroy method in the game over code that will take care of this for me. Okay. Let's see. What exactly are, and I can close some of these code windows to get them out of the way. What exactly are, for example, the flypaper entities and the poison cloud entities? I believe they're officially bullets. Yeah, bug spray cloud, bird, flypaper. These are officially bullets, and I can just call the destroy method of each of these, which is inherited from entity. And this is where like having a big ol' inheritance hierarchy starts to get to be more of a hindrance than a help. Design wise, stuff involving like cache misses are something that we will not be talking about today, because I have to actually hunt for where the implementation is, and that's kind of just a chore. So in the game over method for all bullets, I won't say specifically for entity, bullet, bug spray, cloud, and whatever, but for all bullets, in the game over method, we are going to be just invoking our destroy method. And that is going to hopefully remove us from the playing field. I will be testing, and not just with this. Like, if you were to restart a level quickly enough, the bullets may still be there. The bullets from ordinary things like the pebble shooters and the fire towers and whatever, they may still be on the field and may still be able to interact with anything that comes through if you're quick enough, which would be a bit of a fun exploit, but not one that I really want to be part of the game. So I'm just going to, since the bug spray and the flypaper dispensers are not working right now, I'm just going to launch some birds. Let me just like do some stuff, and then I'm just gonna let the game end, and then hopefully the birds will be gone, and then I'll test it out in some other situations. And the birds are just mowing everything down, just like in real life. I love having birds around because they eat all the bugs. And we have, oh, I know why this is. Okay, yes, fine. That's list iteration errors. When you delete items from a list at the same time of iterating over them, bad things happen. I should really get in the habit of making sure that I don't ever do that. But first, let me just put this in its own method. Second, let me I equals ds list size minus 1, and then I is greater than or equal to 0. And that way, if I delete something from the end of a list, it won't mess up the order of the list further on down the line. And I can say self dot call entity game over, and I'm just gonna give it that obnoxiously long method name, just to make sure that my future self knows what it is. And that's also going to apply to, by the way, what happens when you go back to title. I believe if I were to go into the course stuff, into the test room, hilariously named, I know, and if I were to just like return to the title in the quit menu, is this title? Go to title, yes. Okay, so I'm just going to wherever you might go to the title in this game, let us call entity game over. Okay. that should take care of that. I was actually, and I really hope this works, because I was actually worried when I first saw this bug and when it was first reported by someone else in a different context, that this was going to be, I need to select this one, thank you very much, that this was going to be a bit of an annoying one to fix. And I'm glad that, as far as I can tell, it should just be a matter of having entities call their own game over methods. We may actually, leveling up this tower may have not been a good thing, because that may involve like everything dying to it and not getting through and not gaming over. There we go. And we are still having a problem resolving this. Okay, why is that? I++. That would be why. Wow. Okay, so I game overed. I'm going to retry. I can see that indeed the birds are no longer there, which is what I want. If I were to retry, the birds would be gone. They would no longer be flying off in circles. If I were to plop down a bird nest, let 3 of them pop out, and if I were to quit and go back to the title screen, they will no longer be there, which is what we want. Okay. By the way, I'm 90% sure I fixed this already, but if I were to, like, zip all the way off to the side of the map and go back to the title screen, we would be recentered, right? Yes. Okay, good. And this is a GitHub commit that is bullet entities are removed from the map on game over. And I can mark this one as closed. Where is it? This one. And since flypaper and poison clouds and whatever are also subclasses of bullets, they should do the exact same thing. They should have the exact same behavior. GitHub projects is suddenly lagging on me, and I don't know why. I know that Trello recently has been having issues because Trello just had a UI update, and on Google Chrome, it's suddenly lagging like to the sun and back, and that's making it a little bit difficult to look at what I want to do. It looks like this is all of the high priority things listed that I wanted. Not all of them actually were high priority, because there were some that were perhaps not very important that I just stuck in that list anyway. Let's see, balance audio volume. Honestly, I just put this here just because I wanted to double check earlier, but honestly, since I've been playing with this game and playing around with it, I haven't really noticed any sound effects that are obnoxiously loud or too quiet or anything like that. I think everything is approximately the same volume that I want it to be. I'll double check this later on, like right before I kick it out onto like itch.io or whatever, but we'll see. When you are in tower building mode, highlight the area where the tower can actually be built, so the player does not have to guess based on where the tower changes colors. That may be a bit of a whole thing, actually, because that'll involve, I said move it to the whole thing list. That'll involve changing the shader. When a tower is selected, draw its range in a circle on the ground. That is similar. I will get to that soon enough. Back sound effects button did not get applied to the back button on the credits page. This one was reported in the YouTube comments also. Thank you to whoever reported it. Kente, I believe it was. If I were to go look at the back button in the credits page, that's this one. Also, and I can't believe I did not notice this, but some of these are misaligned. I don't know how I didn't notice this, but some of these buttons are like the back button, I believe, is misaligned. How did I not see that? Anyway, let's see, variables. That is SE menu flip, which I believe is what it should be. What if I were to look at one of these? Oh, SE menu back is what it should be. Flip was the other one. Okay, I remember. Thank you. Thank you, Kente. Let me... How do I like... Do I just drag it in there? My brain is a fog right now. SE menu back. Right? And that didn't, like, change the default for all the other ones. Okay, good. Yeah. Let's see. Hide the level select. And I'll deal with the alignment and just give everything a once-over to make sure it looks like everything's the right size in a moment. But... Alright, that's the back sound effect. Okay, so this also... Alright, Alright, quick game. That also has the wrong sound effect. Hang on. That was on the... just on the title screen. This needs to have... what sound effect does start game have? This has menu select. Okay. The ones in the middle had menu flip, and the quick game button had, God, what am I looking at? This one? I would like menu select in there. I would like menu select in here. I would like menu select in here. Apparently I just like messed up multiple of these buttons. And are there any others? Assign the correct sound effect to every button. There were a couple that were not what they should have been. Good thing that someone mentioned that so that I could go and check. Let's see. Let us drag this over to the completed board. Have an outline of some sort around selected towers, rather than making them glow, because glowing looks pretty bad. Agreed. Player should be able to pan around the screen with the mouse. So I'm thinking when the player middle clicks with the mouse, that will act as like up, down, left, right. Set the base color for the ground in each map so that it doesn't have to all be the same color. I'll do that in a minute. This last one here, gnats should be made immune to the magnifying glass, at least if they have the shield, since the beams of light make the shield virtually useless. That is a balance thing. I want to take a closer look at balance, but that is a glaring one that I noticed when I was messing around with this earlier, because the gnats only have a very small amount of HP, and the magnifying glasses mow things down very quickly. And the gnats' gimmick to make them slightly less weak against other towers is that they have that HP shield, so they take at least 2 hits to go down, so even if your tower is super powerful, it'll always take at least 2 hits to take a gnat down. And magnifying glasses sort of bypass that because they do damage continuously. So if I were to go into Entity Tower, this is where things get damaged by the tower. I think I'm going to say, with target foe damage, I will just have the magnifying glass check to see if the target foe has a shield. Where is that? So this is a subclass. The midges, the gnats, whatever you want to call them, are a subclass of the regular foes, and these are the only ones that have a shield. I think instead of letting these do anything special, all foes are going to have an HP shield. The HP shield will be initialized to 0. So for most enemies, this just won't be like part of the equation. But midges will spawn in. Midges will have their shield set to 1. And in the damage method of the regular foe class, where is the damage method? Here's the damage method. We're just gonna check to see if shield is a thing. And then that shouldn't change the calculations for anything, and then if target foe, oops, wait, no, I just like deleted everything. If target foe is not nullish and target foe dot shield equals 0, then you will do this, because actually wait, instead of putting this in this condition up here, if I just put all of this inside the condition, we will still have the magnifying glass turning to face its target, and we will still have the burning sound effect playing. We will just not actually have any damage being done, and we will not have the the burn particles being shown. And that should take care of that issue, that balance issue. I know that magnifying glasses in general are a little strong, and I want to nerf them further, but let's see. Magnifying glass. Let me just play the game a bit. Let me see if I can get to a point where fruit flies are spawning in. Okay, so the magnifying glasses would be all powerful. They are doing a fine job on their own. Except for the fact that we've got a bunch of gnats coming through, and they are functionally immune to these things. Okay, that's what I want. Magnifying glasses do not damage HP shields. Actually, first, let's, say... all enemies can have HP shield, and... I sort of feel like if the magnifying glass does not damage something because it has an HP shield, there should be some sort of visual indication of that. I don't know in my head what that looks like. Maybe like a bubble appearing around the foe or something like that, possibly, could work. Possibly, I don't know, having like the 3D model do some sort of dodge maneuver around the beam or something like that. I haven't really thought that much about it. I'll probably, like, in like very late polish stage, I might do something like that, but maybe not right now. Okay. See, I've been recording for an hour. I've gotten the simple things done. What else is there? Players should be able to pan around the screen with the mouse. Let me say, add myself a sprite. I'm going to create a sprite, and I'm just going to draw something really quick. You'll see what it looks like in a minute. You'll see what I have in mind. For a shape that's pretty geometrically defined, I had a real hard time drawing this. Anyway, this is, it's not doing it now, but this is just like the icon that appears often when you, like, try to pan around a window. And, I think, for example, Photoshop. Oh no, Photoshop has a hand. Some programs do that. Anyway, I am going to start by saying in-game draw GUI. No, don't jump to line number. Find in the GUI method. If we're not super concerned with the editor mode because this should work in any of them. If mouse check button MB middle draw sprite SPR cursor pan index 0 window mouse get X window mouse get Y, and this should draw that sprite at that position in the window. And I will when you do that hide the regular mouse cursor. Okay, so the icon's appearing. I will also hide the regular mouse cursor because it's a little weird having both of them on the screen at once. I will also probably only actually do it in gameplay mode because I do realize, like, right now that it also does this on the title screen, which is not really what you want to see on the title screen if you were to middle click. So let me move that back up to gameplay mode like this. And I think I'll say, let's just make a commit. Oh, wait, I also said, it's Windows set cursor, right? CR underscore none is no cursor, and CR underscore default is, yeah, okay, so CR underscore default. Else, show or hide the cursor. Okay, good. So when I'm middle clicking, you just see the pan. I want to call it the pan handle, but that usually refers to something else. You see the pan icon, and when I release the middle button, you see the regular mouse cursor. Okay, that's fine. I suppose that could incur some weirdness if you were to go, like, into one of the other gameplay modes. If you were to pause the game while you were holding down the middle mouse button, or something like that, or if you were to game over while that happens. So just to avoid potential weirdness, let's set it to CR underscore default in all the other cases as well. All right, draw that. Next, we actually want this to have some behavior. Does the game track the mouse's actual position? Like how far it's moved in between frames? I don't believe it actually does currently, so I'm going to set something up for that. Let's see, let's collapse the database. We don't need that. Let's collapse all this stuff. Setting stuff, we don't need that. Initialize method, and for everything below that is just methods. Let's say mouse last is going to be just a struct with an x. It's going to be initialized to undefined. Actually, you know what I can do? No, I won't do that. X is going to be initialized to undefined. Y, undefined. And then in the update method, if you are in gameplay mode, let's see, this is title mode. If you are in gameplay mode, code folding is not working correctly because it should, when I hit the minus button, you would expect it to collapse up to here. It would expect you to hide these lines, and you would still be able to see the else if gameplay mode equals game modes.gameplay, but that's not what it's doing. So maybe I should just go back to using good old-fashioned regions. Alright, regardless. Camera.update. That's as good a place as any to run this code. Camera.update. This is when you move around if gameplay mode not equal to game modes.title. We can do this. You know what? Maybe instead of putting mouse last inside the game object, we can put mouse last inside the camera object, and that'll make for a few fewer variables floating around all over the place. If you are in gameplay mode, not in any of the other ones. First, let's update mouse last. We can say mouse last.x is going to equal window mouse get x. And the same on the y-axis. And we can figure out the how far the mouse has moved by saying something like dx is going to equal window mouse get x minus mouse last.x. We can do this all if self.mouse last.x is not equal to undefined, because let's enforce the use of self here. Because if you try to subtract undefined from a value, you're going to get a result that doesn't really work. By that, I believe I mean that it'll just crash. It won't even give you, like, undefined or something. Or perhaps nan. So if the mouse's last position is not equal to undefined, and honestly, this should not ever be the case, because by the time, like, you get to the title screen, it's going to have a value set to it on the first frame of gameplay. If mouse check button MB middle, let's say from. Actually, you know what? This is going to be a lot of code that's very similar to all this. So let's initialize some movement. Actually, I already used the letter D down there. I'm gonna call this MX and MY. And let's just replace all the pluses equals and minus equals instead with MX. That was X, right? Yeah, that was X. MX minus equals that. MX plus equals that. Y minus equals that. And Y plus equals that. And then we can say from.x plus equals mx, from.y plus equals my, 2.x plus equals mx, 2.y plus equals my. Next, there's just the matter of constraining these. Let's group the x's together and the y's together, and I can say if is it 2.x is that should be an and. That's it, right? Yeah, the bound on the one side is... I thought I renamed these to MX and MY. The bound on the one side is just 0, the bound on the other side is room width. I actually don't need the plus MX here, I just need to check that this is within the bounds. Actually, you know, I probably should, because this can be positive or negative. Okay. Reasoning. Can be a bit of a challenge sometimes, particularly if you're me. So this isn't going to let you move outside the bounds of the screen horizontally, and we can have something similar on the y-axis, but instead of 2.y and my and 2.x and mx and whatever it's going to be y, and instead of less than room width, it's going to be less than room height divided by 2. Okay, and then since we're already doing the checks down below, I don't need to do the bounds checks here, because this is just a redundant calculation. Like this. And I can probably get rid of the keyboard, the arrow key movement as well, because that was commented out a long time ago. Pretty much, if I recall, as soon as I implemented nudging objects around in the editor with the arrow keys, because those behaviors were conflicting with each other, and I don't want that. Anyway, if you are holding the mouse, the middle mouse wheel, the middle mouse button, and if you are in gameplay mode, you can do something like this, and that is going to be mx plus equals the difference in the x position, my plus equals the difference in the y position. That needs to be an m and not a d. I can honestly put both of these statements in the same line just to make them a little bit shorter. And this should work. We should have the same behavior, but we should now be able to pan around with the mouse. Now, it is worth noting that this might move us around. Okay, fine. What do you want? Oh, I need to initialize it up here. This might make the mouse move around at a fairly high speed. Perhaps a little bit faster than we want, or perhaps a fairly low speed, perhaps a little lower than we want. Let me, make sure that we can actually run the game without anything bad happening. And, okay, this is actually closer to an acceptable speed than I thought it would be. This is actually not bad. I might cut it in, like, half. If you're a real fancy game, I might like implement a setting for mouse sensitivity, but this is not a fancy game. I don't know if it's going to be worth my time to do that. I've already said I don't want this video going on for an hour, and this recording session has already gone on for an hour, but hopefully it'll be somewhat shorter than that. Yeah, this isn't bad. This is alright. I can live with this. Actually, let me, for ease of use later, let me make a variable called mouse drag speed, and it's going to be something like 0.4, and that is going to be multiplied by this instead of divided. And then it's a little bit slower than I had before. What I had before would have been 0.5, dividing by 2 and multiplying by 1/2 our equivalent. This is going to be a little bit slower, but regardless, we should be able to move around. Yeah, all right, that works. Okay. So I can drag this over to the finish category. That is all I believe all the easy fixes that I've got in mind. Some of them are visual things. Let's see, tower visuals. No, don't go there. Tower visuals, I'm going to move to this category. GitHub, you feeling okay? Let's see, maybe in the next video I will deal with tower visuals. I do need to do this. I do need to identify the track so that like bug spray can actually target the track. I do want to implement particle density because what works on my computer won't necessarily work on a Raspberry Pi. I do obviously want some kind of terrain outside the boundary of the stage because I don't want it to look like the stages are floating off in space, although I don't know exactly how I want to go about doing that. I have a feeling that'll go hand in hand with setting the base color for each map. And balance is probably going to be another video later on. Okay. I'm going to end it off here. I'm going to push all these changes up to GitHub. If you want the code for this, look in the video description. Look for the 0.55 release in the repository. I'm going to create that tag right now. And I'm going to make a release based on the 0.55 tag. Have I been titling releases per week? I have to look this up every time. I have not. Okay, so this is going to be week 55. And where's 54? Did I not? 50, 51, 52, 53. Did I not create one for 54? I'll rectify that now, I guess. I must have just forgotten. Alright, 0.54 was last week, and 0.55 is this week. That's the tag. And that's gonna be what you're looking for in the video description. What? Choose tag, didn't I? Did I type it in wrong? Whatever. Anyway, I hope you all found this interesting. I try to post about 2 game dev videos a week, one of these and one tutorial. I've been getting back in the mood of 3D collisions in GameMaker as of recently. I hope you all find this interesting, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Connor, Edward Holt, Emily Koyo, Posho, Sindra Larson, Tusk, and Zenjamin for supporting these videos. If you want to see your name in the credits or hear yourself shouted out at the end, head on over to the Patreon page down in the video description to join the fun.